Good evening and welcome to 1010, your top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Andy Hong. It's been too long, I know, and I give my deepest apologies for that. It'll be different when school starts, which is next week for all of us in IUSD. I hope you had a great, depressingly short summer. Usually feels even shorter for us poor blokes who are going to be seniors. Doing homework and studying and internships and all that, the usual stuff. I personally had a pretty good, depressingly short summer. Did a lot of work, met a lot of people, saw a lot, learned a lot. So shout out to all those good people if they're watching, of course. Are you guys watching? You better be. Well, enough of the intro. Let's get into the news. Thailand is in full terrorist alert after two bomb attacks in 2 days. The first one in the famous Erewhon Shrine in Bangkok killed at least 20 and wounded more than 120 people. The second, thrown at a busy pier, fortunately fell in the water and wounded no one. After combing the CCTV footage from around the area, the police released a sketch of the shrine bomber. However, it has now been determined there is a possibility of as many as 10 or more suspects involved in the attacks. Much of the bombing is still a mystery, as even though a witness taxi driver claimed that the suspect did not speak Thai or English, there is no information on any motive or a possible foreign sponsor, a theory quickly dismissed by Colonel Wintai Savari, a spokesman for Thailand's military provisional government, or junta. Thai authorities requested help by sharing all the information that they have with Interpol and increasing the reward on the bombing suspect to 2 million baht, or 56,000 US dollars. Last week, a massive explosion of sodium cyanide in a chemical warehouse rocked the Chinese city of Tianjin, destroying 17,000 homes and killing 114 so far. 69 people are still unaccounted for. Although recovery and cleanup crews have made progress by identifying bodies and detoxifying the area, there are still many areas, especially those close to the explosion site, with extremely high levels of toxic chemicals. However, there is also much talk of mishandling of the crisis, in poor communication, and safety violations by the authorities prior to and after the explosion. As the dust settles in Tianjin, we're inevitably beginning to see politics rearing its head to start some classic bureaucracy, but let's hope that it doesn't get in the way of cleaning up the mess and helping those affected by the tragedy. No story of an East Asian mess is complete without North and South Korea. Recently, North Korean soldiers infiltrated the DMZ and planted their trademark wooden box mines across a known South Korean military patrol route, maiming 2 South Korean soldiers, resulting in multiple amputations. Both sides soon resumed propaganda operations against each other through enormous loudspeakers for the first time since 2004, until earlier today, the North Korean military fired a rocket shell towards what is purported to be a South Korean propaganda loudspeaker in Yonsan. In response, the South Koreans evacuated the area and fired dozens of 155mm shells towards the suspected launch site. There are no reports of injuries, although there is mass mobilization so far. I must confess, I wish I could turn back time to before I scrolled down to the comment sections of the articles that I visited for this story. It's really easy to say dumb things like North Korea is best Korea if you haven't been to a prison camp, or I hope we nuke all of them if you don't have family living on the land, or just go to war already if you don't have to fight. People tend to be bolder and more opinionated when they go online and often say outrageous, idiotic, and hurtful things when, in real life, they're too cowardly to say that to someone's face. Internet manners, people. Internet manners. The internet also often encourages stupid actions as well. Fortunately, karma is often there to shame those kinds of people, but only a few imagine karma justice to come at this scale. Last month, the website Madison, which is a site that helps put together extramarital relationships, was hacked and information of 32 million of its members stolen. The hackers, who called themselves the Impact Team, demanded that Avid Life Media take down Madison and Established Men, 2 websites owned by ALM that both promote what is essentially cheating. When ALM failed to meet their demands, the hackers posted dozens of gigabytes of sensitive information about the company and its website's members, 13,000 of whom had government emails. The hack and release was illegal, but you have to agree that the websites were in pretty poor taste. And I thought only Subway subs had poor taste, but now things really became bad for Subway. Subway's former pitchman Jared Fogle reached a plea deal for anything between 5 and 12.5 years in prison for pleading guilty to child pornography and having sexual relationships with minors. Fogle will have to pay $100,000 to each of his 14 victims. Justice has been served, yes, but justice isn't just about locking up bad guys and letting them out of the timeout corner once their time is up. Justice won't be complete until he undergoes proper rehabilitation and returns to being a proper contributing citizen in our society, a process that America needs but often forgets. After months of economic chaos in Greece, Alexis Tsipras, the Greek prime minister, formally resigned and motioned for earlier parliamentary elections to take place, essentially like rebooting the government with new software. When something doesn't work, just turn it off and turn it back on again, right? Although it is true that there will be even more problems in the short run due to the power vacuum and electoral turmoil, many hope that the move will create stability once the reset is complete and the new government is ready to go. According to Tsipras, the Greek people would have the right to decide if he is worthy and deserves a chance to continue his economic damage control policies, which include tax hikes, spending cuts, and bailouts, which did prevent Greece's exit from the Eurozone, for better or for worse.
Oh, because some came in the mail today. Yeah, I did. These nuts!
First of all, a special apology to my Spanish teacher, Senora Fox, for the random These Nuts jokes, along with my accomplice, you know who you are. You know who you are. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, a mysterious independent running hero that we all need yet do not deserve reached 9% in the polls against Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. His name was These Nuts. His actual name isn't actually These Nuts. He's actually Brady Olson, a high school sophomore from Iowa. The nerve of the underclassmen these days. But then again, I would have still voted for These Nuts. I can just imagine his foreign policy. Go up to Putin and ask him if he likes CDs, then he's gonna be all like, because you're about to see these nuts.
Got him!
Meanwhile, two men in Poland purportedly hit the jackpot when they claimed to have found the legendary Nazi train filled with gold bars, artwork, and gems. According to lore, the armed train went missing in May 1945 when it carried its special cargo into the Owl Mountains to hide the valuables from the Soviet army. The two men are requesting 1/10 of the value of their find, which is all fair and square. I wish they requested more, actually. However, officials are concerned that there might be underground gases and explosives that the train carried that could pose a safety threat once excavating it. In Florida, on the 300th anniversary of a hurricane that sank 11 Spanish ships, the salvage company 1715 Fleet Queens Jewels, LLC, discovered 350 gold coins valued at $4.5 million, mostly in mint condition. Speaking of hurricanes, let's go to one-time meteorologist Katie June for news on the hurricane. Danny. Katie?
Yes, I'm Katie Jen, and I'm here on site at the same studio because we're a low-budget student news team. As you can see behind me, hurricane season is now here. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is predicting that this year's El Niño will cause vertical wind shears that can weaken storms. That may explain why the first hurricane of 2015's hurricane season, named Hurricane Danny, began forming over the Atlantic so late, showing this NOAA map. It reached Category 1 on Thursday morning and is making its way towards the Caribbean. According to CNN, although the hurricane is too small to accurately track its strength and position, it is pretty certain that the storm will reach the Gulf's far eastern islands by Monday morning, as shown in this map by the National Weather Survey. This is no Katrina, but strong winds are still to be expected, so residents should take caution. Back to you.
Thank you. And now to tonight's troubling science news. According to the NOAA, July 2015 was the Earth's hottest month ever in recorded history. The planetary average temperature was 16.6 degrees Celsius, which may not seem a lot, but when you consider places like Greenland and Antarctica, maybe even Ulaanbaatar, the coldest capital city in the world, at an average annual temperature of negative 0.4 degrees Celsius, you have to wonder how warm things had to get to bring the average closer to 20 degrees. The last hottest month ever was July 1998, which had an average temperature of 0.08 degrees lower than right now, which is actually a pretty notable difference. The average temperature for 2015 as a whole so far is 0.85 degrees Celsius higher than the average for the 20th century. What do you say to that? I throw snowballs in the Senate disclaiming climate change, and I'm the chairman of the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works, Mr. Inhofe. What do you say? And that was this week's Ten10. I'm Andy Hong. Make sure to finish all your summer homework before you go back to school. Perfect way to start off a bad year is to have a bad first day by not having homework done. I swear. I don't speak from experience, Mom. I swear. Anyways, have a great rest of summer vacation, and make sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube. More new features will be coming soon, and we'll be back next week with more of your top 10 news in 10 minutes. Stay educated.